Chandni.
Good morning to all my CA professional colleagues. I am CA Chandni Hitwara. I welcome CA NItant sir and all members on behalf of Navsari branch of WIRC. Today is last day of our 3-day bank audit webinar. Today's topic is audit in CBS, environment and fraud detection. I request CA Kamlesh Bhai Patel to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Chandni. Good morning, everybody. Today we have very learned speaker on the bank audit topic who was born in Malaysia and got schooling in Mumbai and Hong Kong. We can just understand the level of expertise of sir in the field of bank audit from the fact that sir has commenced bank audit in the year 1985 and who has done first system audit in 1998, even when RBI didn't made it mandatory. And sir is listed in the Wikipedia for fraud detection practiced by pioneering technique. Well, there is much more to say about sir, but in order to listen to him and learn more from him, I will briefly summarize his introduction. Sir has completed more than 500 bank branch audits for over more than 23 banks, conducted internationally approved quality and control audits of banking software for software houses providing banking software to Indian and international banks, authored more than 16 books, written his first fiction book titled The Accidental Hacker, which was appreciated by the erstwhile defense minister who personally found him to appreciate the pointers in the book. Interviewed twice on Doordarshan when banking fraud was the breaking news of that day. Written various articles in leading newspapers and magazines, visiting faculty to training centers of many banks and management colleges, regular paper reader at the seminars arranged by the WIRC. RBI Committee on the Information Technology Security in Banks and Finance Companies has acknowledged in its report his book as one of the valuable reference book of the committee. With this, I would request Honorable NItant sir to enrich our knowledge on today's topic, CBS environment and fraud detection. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, my own voice is.
Sir, mute on phone.
The best part about the introduction in any seminar is the ego boost that we get, because the introduction is written by us only. Sometimes I notice an error, like I wrongly mentioned only WRC, but luckily other regions are also calling me now, and that is one hell of an honor, I would say. So that is nice. Now here, my main agenda is to ensure the protection of the profession in the society as well as the longevity of the profession in the industry. It is more of a sharing of experience to ensure that none of us ever leave a fraud or a CBS big issue unchecked during statutory audit. Now the problem is that statutory audit, we have very less time. Yet, just investment of 2 seconds to 20 seconds, that is all I'm asking, to check up whether there is a red flag. As we go along, you'll be able to see that the investment of 2 seconds makes hell of a difference, and therefore I would request you to bear with those 2 seconds which you may be asked to do extra. That is all. Let's start. These are some of the books which I have written. And just to recall, in case somebody has seen those books earlier. The last book where we see our earlier Prime Minister, Mr. Parikar, holding the book, that is a symbolic photograph, not an actual photograph, because he phoned me after reading the book, telling me he liked it, invited me for tea whenever you come to Delhi, yeah? But whatever it is, he also mentioned that what I have mentioned in the book, the government is taking care of, because I had mentioned some cyber war against India also, and therefore where it fell into a trap. So he said, don't worry, we are taking care of that, so, which is very nice to know. And although it's a novel, it landed up with around 18 predictions of events. Very accurately, in the sense that I mentioned a raid on the New York Stock Exchange on a Wednesday, and it actually happened on a Tuesday. Newspapers did not report how. My book says how. And one more important point is the negative appreciation. My book is banned in China. 16th book, but first novel, and it is undergoing translation into Marathi also now, which I have not commissioned. One fan is translating it. So God is great. That is all I can say. Everybody wants to write. Not everybody becomes a success, and readers also make it a success. Now to the topic. This is one of the reaction of a DISA person on the novel. He says that you make sure it's in the syllabus. However, a novel cannot enter a syllabus. That is the reality of life. In a bank or a bank branch, if whenever you go, you see always some auditor sitting there. And this is a picture of the bank manager with a headache. He has to handle the clients, he has to handle the auditor, he has to handle the regional office, he has to handle the visiting dignitaries of the local city or town where he is. It's a big headache. And while handling all this, despite it, the number of audits, there are frauds. Now, what happens is that this is a CBS environment. I just a small recall I would like to give you. See, these are the branches. They are linked with some speed, and there's a router, and there's a switch here in the database. That is the data center. A central office requires a lot of data to move here and there, therefore it's connected directly here. And there's a backup and a DR site. DR site has to be outside the city limits or outside the earthquake zone as required internationally. So either of these two, the whole country is in the earthquake zone, there's nothing much you can do. Just a small recall of what CBS network means. There are certain expectations which even I had, because I had done programming, I've delivered systems, and therefore my balance sheet always tallied. So I did not expect an event where things do not tally and they are hidden, or even the double entry rule is satisfied, something basic, or even the books are in agreement with the final accounts. These all points I'll be touching upon. Accounting standards don't ask, it's a nightmare. Statutory requirements required by RBI and all that, they take time to put into the system. Or there are sufficient internal controls as declared by you. Please note that we are in March 2022, the second year after the COVID impact lockdown. I expect every audit report to have either MOC or with MOC a lot of qualification. The internal control, believe me, in a bank does not exist as we think it should exist. First example, let us see. Here is a customer master on the right and account master on the left. You will see logically that first a customer should come into the bank, that is a relationship should develop, and then he may open saving account, fixed deposit account, etc.
Sir, your voice is echoing.
My voice is
Echo.
How is it now?
So,
Okay. Can't you hear me?
sir, your voice is coming double, echoing.
Double, na? Haan. Is it now okay? Now it is single?
Yes, sir, chalega.
Okay. I had put on the speaker on the phone. That is why it was getting a feedback. So you indicate to me by sign. Okay. So here we have a customer master. So a person first becomes a customer, then he will open fixed deposit account, then he will open saving account or a recurring deposit account, etc. Now, if you look at the dates over here, which are the system dates, the customer, he's become a customer in 2019, but accounts are open in 2018. Now, this is illogical. That means at the time of the opening of the account, the master was not set at all. So I find that an absence of internal control here, because if you are taking care of the KYC, then only the customer master can be opened. Now, this control in a software, I would keep that without a customer master, there cannot be an account opening. But obviously, this software or whatever software it is allows this problem to exist. No control at all. So the software is without an internal control. And just because there is software, the people depend upon it and they are misled or they are able to abuse it. Now, this is a error which I don't think we should see. This I found out through just random chance. If you see, any two persons can sign jointly, and there are only two signatures. So any two means there has to be more than two. So in case the chairman signs at one and the secretary signs as secretary also, then we have two signatures, which is illogical. It may or may not get caught. But this is one of the not so very important, but it was found out by us. Supported here, if you see that there are names of two people but photographs of three people. So how the hell are you opening the account? So we are talking about a control in opening the accounts itself, which is absent here. Anyway, system in advances, you are aware that there are some systems which link to PLR, some systems do not link to PLR. There are some systems which have slab rates, like above 5 lakhs so much or below 5 lakhs so much. It depends upon the bank and the policy. However, the minimum control is absent. For example, if I am an accounts officer and my friend comes over there for a loan and everything is done, papers are passed, sanctioning is done by regional office or the manager, etc. Yet, there is a control here which is absent. I can say that the interest should be at 0%. So my friend is happy and we have lifelong friendship. How you can find this? How you can find this very easily? Let me tell you, I'm a very lazy person. And I want you to be lazy because the computer has done the work for you. So when the computer has done the work for you, please don't do the work by scanning each and every account, kitna liya, kitna rate hai, this and that. Don't. Take up interest applied report. Interest applied report will give you account number and interest which is applied. Take that file, either it is PDF or TXT. The TXT is the normal one which you get and you convert it into Excel. Now, this action of converting it into Excel, please, in case somebody does not know, please get that knowledge. It is very, very easy. Just 4 or 5 steps you have to convert. And after you convert into Excel, you sort it according to the least to the highest. Then you will get all this. So I have an account. It's quite possible that the account is opened but loan is not disbursed. It is not taken away and therefore it is zero. Let it be. Let it be a legitimate reason also. But I must be assured that it is correctly applied as zero. So first I'll get zero. Understood? Now we did the same thing for a saving account. You see, I always recommend that any interest, just check up one account per department of deposit and advances. One is enough. There was a bank where we did a system audit where my assistant said that CC account, I got a problem that the interest applied is not correct. So I said that account, maybe the sanction limit is raised or some drawing power is raised, or that is why you don't know. When we checked up, we found out that in the whole department of CC, not a single, I repeat, not a single account was levied the interest correctly. Some of them were higher, some of them were lower. Later on, after long story short, it was a corrupted field in the system which was happening. And for the previous 3 years, this was being done. So I asked the staff, didn't you check up? They say that it's a computer, data center handles this and that, all that nonsense they gave. I said, but it's an account sitting in your branch. So you have to check up at least whether it is accurate. Then more horrific statistics was that 60 of branches out of the 100 branches were under concurrent audit. Now we are talking about not a single account, not some account, not 5% of the account, not 1% of the account. Not a single account was levied correctly. Therefore, I recommend that please check just one account for revenue check. In one national bank, we found out, we checked it up for penal interest. They said, they showed me the master file. See, it's written over there 2%. 2% to be applied for overdrawing, etc., penal interest, etc. So I said, fine, I'll check up. 1 month sheets, maybe there were 12 sheets. So I went through the product calculation, that is the product application report, again, as I told you, is there available. I'm a very lazy person. So I just checked up whether the balance, outstanding balance into number of days is correct. And I checked up the total and I found out that it is excess, but no penal interest was applied. Now, this was a nationalized bank, pan-India existence, and I'm the only guy finding it out. All I did was see one account with penal interest, that is overdrawn. So that feature, I found out that that account chosen should not be normal. It should be above normal. And if it is above normal, then normal is taken care of. This logic you apply, check up one account per department and the interest applied report, through the interest applied report. You have a problem, then check up the product applied report. Reports are there. So before you go to the bank and when you're asking for data from them, just ask them for this interest applied report for each of the departments and take a soft copy only. They'll say, we can't give this and that, too much paper. We don't want paper. We want a soft copy only. Half your activity is just like you are under lockdown. So if they are cooperated during lockdown, they know how to cooperate now. Earlier, you could not take a single sheet of paper outside. That was a different matter. Now they can. But can interest application be skipped? This is during one of the system audits we found out that the application can also be skipped. Now, in my mind, I think that at the time of interest application in the data center, they just sit at the server and they say apply interest and it goes on calculating and everything is covered. But why was this skipped? Because what happens is there is a network issue, there is a power issue, and while processing interest, it's quite possible it stops somewhere. Now, the people over there in the data center, they have to see the marker where it has stopped. And they found out that it is very difficult. We have 300 branches. In the 300 branches, I have to first find out which branch, then which department. Therefore, they started applying interest per department, per branch. And this branch, for the first time, had given a new product called loan against NSC and not overdraft against NSC. And they didn't tell the data center. Now, I argued with the head of the data center saying that trial balance is available with you of all branches. If there is balance, you should have applied to every department which has a balance. Simple logic. I don't know why you're taking this shortcut. And therefore, there was a big scandal over there, a big reprimand to the staff because they didn't take permission for deviating from the normal procedure. This was a very important thing because interest earned is the main income of the bank, and here you are playing around with that. That is not done. Now here, this is my home loan account, which I am showing a letter and just hiding the bank. There was a saving account in which I was funding, and the standing instruction was to take money from the saving account. I, as a middle class Maharashtrian, I just made sure there was enough balance always. Yet at the end of the year, I got penal interest applied. So I just asked, I know the amount is less, but I want to know where I went wrong. On top of that, let me share with you that the system was Infosys. So is Infosys wrong? The answer is no. Because Infosys has given a product which is very detailed and you can customize it as you want. For example, if you ask me, would you like some tea? The maximum complication I will give you is don't give me with sugar. That is all. Infosys, the product over here, the software asks, okay, which tea do you want? You do from Darjeeling, do you want from Ceylon, or do you want from Assam? Then do you want it boiled, extra boiled, underboiled? Do you want green tea? You know, that kind of stuff. It keeps on asking. What these people did possibly is that my installment collection fell on a Sunday, fell on a bank holiday, and they did not have an as of date. There was money before the holiday also. They should have taken it before, or they can take it one day after, but give me the credit for the day before. So, which they call, bankers call as of date. That as of date did not work because they have not set it in the parameters. If they are not set in the parameters, now they've taken extra money from me, but tomorrow they will also earn less because in ATM, when you withdraw after the closing of the hours, the next entry which is posted in my account is on a Monday, and today's saving, I'm getting interest on a daily basis. So they will be paying me interest extra. I don't know whether there's a slide here later on or not. The amount lost is heavy. You assume 10,000 per withdrawal, and you assume just 10,000 people, you are running into heavy losses of interest. So as of date, whether it is being applied is one more point which you ask them to prove, both for saving as well as the advances. So when it can collect extra interest, can it pay extra interest also? If you see this figure 4,93,923, this is at the time of opening of the deposit. That the maturity value is given here. This is a cumulative deposit, and the sections here is a ledger which I have shown you together, and the ledger is the quarterly interest which is being credited to the account, and the amount shown here is 4,96,664, little higher. Now why was it higher? Because in December double interest of provision was done. Why was this not done earlier? Why was this done for this? It's a very complex software application issue because software is always under maintenance. Why was this not done later on also? How we found this out was there was a extra interest to deposit ratio which we took out. It turned out to be higher. The directors also told us, GM and directors, interest rates have gone up and therefore even deposits have gone up. I said, I'm talking about a ratio. Please note, deposit to interest ratio. I'm not talking about actual amount. It has gone up and therefore it has to be seen. And therefore, nobody was wiser, is what I thought. Now, our system, now look at the damage done. Our system was conducted in the month of October. Provision was reflected in PNL in March. What happened was that they found it out. And they said that we put a line, programming line over there, saying that if the targeted maturity value, that is at the time of the opening of deposit, is lower than the worked out deposit, then make it the lower one, the maturity which we have promised. That's it. So we have not lost money. So I asked them, are you sure that all the deposits for which you have provided have matured in March? What about those which are carried forward? This a banker should have realized. I should not have realized. That time they forgot this aspect, and therefore the provision, which was much higher, provision being higher, it was an artificial amount, and the taxation, therefore profit is also lower, and the tax amount paid is also lower. Now here, extra deposit provision is being done, no loss to the bank, but the PNL is not reflecting an actual figure which it should reflect. A very serious error which should have been pointed out by the statutory auditor, a big firm which is not. Anyway, if a computer can pay extra interest, can it make online extra payments also? Where did I go? I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this. Although this is not an Indian bank, it's I've put it on my YouTube also. There's a bank called Santander Bank. Let's see whether this. Could you hear the audio? Okay, no.
Audio was not there, sir.
Okay, they processed double payments. Sorry. Here, I'm just trying to show that the bank is not a very small bank. It is across many countries. It is a very old bank. And we cannot therefore say that the software taken by them is from a small supplier as small as me or a garage-based software supplier. And therefore, it has been working for so many years. Suddenly, this glitch occurred. When a glitch occurs, they should be the first one to find out by a reconciliation. Now, here what happened was that all payments through standing instruction or all direct payments directed by the customers through the accounts went double. So salaries went double, the payments to vendor went double, and they went to various other banks naturally. Now we are talking about this December, which just passed away. Under lockdown conditions, people had lost their job. They had to take a salary cut and they have been paid double. So obviously they were very happy because this happened on a Christmas day. What happened on a Christmas day one day before was that possibly the banker changed the date of interest payment to one day before. Earlier they were doing on 25th, or salary they were doing on 25th. So they said that what can the poor people do on 25th if they get the money? They should, one day before will help. So it's quite possible that during this date change, the execution was done on 24th as well as on 25th. That control suddenly went away when they were doing live change in the processing. This is just to show that it is across so many countries other than India. However, if you look at the software vendor also, it is Temenos. In India also, its presence is there. And their implementer also is very big. So everything is working out. So what happens is that when you go to a bank, I close my eyes to who the supplier is. I may take into account the name of the supplier only to reflect on whatever errors I have found earlier. Are they still existing here? So in case I have TCS and I found some error earlier and it's TCS here, yes, whatever errors I found earlier, are they still existing? I'll check up, but then I will look at it as a new. So don't get impressed. As I said, Infosys was there earlier, yet they took penal interest from me. So don't get impressed by the software. So here I'm just sharing with you how I go about in investigating the event. In case we run into a hypothesis, which is an educated guess, and then in case you get an investigation tomorrow, this may be a little start in your mind. So December 25th was the date of the error. Duplicate payments were done, including salary and vendor payments. The scheduling error is caused. There's no batch control in T24, that software. So it's quite not possible that any person has run the batch twice, because a batch, is a set of instruction which is activated by just activating the process. It can run twice also. If I don't know, my colleague has done it, or I do it and I'm too much stressed due to some other events, I may run it. But here there is no such thing as scheduling or a batch control. But scheduling control, I think, is the date change which has done it. So there is a double payment done. It can be system related or manual. Let's see if it's system related, but there is no batch control. But there was new routine maintenance, and therefore there's a calendar setting. Or it can be user related. User related, the process can run twice, or it can be intentional, or it can run twice also. It can run twice for a fraud or by disgruntled staff. Now, all these possibilities are there. Actions are there, but look at the probability of the event or computation disruption. Now, probability of this same hypothesis is there is no batch control, so that is out of the question. New routine maintenance, maybe, but I don't know. There is no such thing as calendar setting, because these are instructions to be executed. Process run twice is possible automatically or manually or intentionally, that is. Fraud is one main area which is a possibility. Disgruntled staff is another, because earlier we had seen that a disgruntled staff then decided that I got fired, So I teach the company a lesson. So he kept on sending vouchers via fax. In the earlier days, fax was costly. Via fax to all the branches, all the accounting vouchers, whether they're related to them or not. And competition disruption possible. But this is too big a bank for a competitor to get business from there. If it is fraud, then what happens is that whoever benefited, they will be investigated. But if I have thousands and thousands of people who have benefited, my benefit to me, my friends and relatives, that is hidden over there. By the time they reach me, my account is closed, I have run away. I would look at fraud first, then discredit stuff. If a computer has paid extra interest, can it make payment without balance in the customer's account? This is a real life case. Bank of Maharashtra lost 25 crores. This is from the news I'm telling you. I call it disruptive ceiling. Now, the thing is that this is too deep a fraud for you and I to find out during statutory audit. So ask a very simple question. Show me reconciliation of RuPay card, show me reconciliation of this, show me reconciliation of the UPI payments. Just show me the reconciliation done by you. Bank of Maharashtra was doing the reconciliation every month. What is this every month? You're a small trader to do bank reconciliation with your own bank. You're talking about third party. So the UPI outstanding balance remained for so many days and therefore they could not find out the fraud. So you ensure that the Visa system and UPI system reconciliations are done. If they say it is done by some centralized agency, then get a certificate that it is done on what frequency and when it is last done before your visit. That is it. If you see a high gap, then you have a red flag and then you can go forward and check up and ask for the reconciliation amounts, how long they are outstanding. You please tell me, you don't do the reconciliation. Ask the bank to do it. If you're a central auditor, this comes square in your lap. This is your part and parcel of your checklist. Saving accounts, if you know, earlier when we started our audit, saving can never be negative. It can never run into debit if there's no money. But later on, the bank themselves started issuing ATM cards and credit cards, etc. And they said, no, that has preference over the balance itself. If that has preference over the balance, it started running into debit. So saving accounts with debit balances is also what you check up and ensure that even the current account with debit and credit balances are shown separately. They should not be netted off and shown at one place. Some of the systems have a very bad habit of doing that and things get hidden. In other organizations, whether it's a bank or not, also I make sure that these are shown separately for control purposes. UPI, etc. You know, it is promoted by big banks, so it has to have a good system over there. Deemed approval transactions are now gone, and messages are like this. 3 times the request for credit will be asked. If there is no response, then they will be considered as a denial. But third check, at least let's say that it is successful, it has checked up in the CBS system, found out that there is a balance. And nowadays, it is ensured that the debit occurs first and then the credit. So you will find less of this here, hopefully, unless some software when the vendor over here does some maintenance and this goes back to the earlier version. It should not, but we don't know what is going on. During the testing of the software, some dummy accounts are opened without any names and something like this, and they become conduits for frauds. That is, whatever amount has to be taken out first goes through this account, which is a legitimate account, and then the fraudster takes out the money. So such accounts should be closed. It should not be in the operative status at all. So what we found out over here, if you see this account number 2178, so which is also 2178. It is normal and operative. If you see it's here, normal and operative. Although the balance may be zero, it should not be frozen, it should be closed. Some errors should be given high. You see the types of errors which are given status by the user. Now, the software vendors are not aware, or they cannot keep ironclad any issues, and they ask the banker, "Tum bolo." There are some errors which you can say, "Yes, go ahead." Just press the any key or press Y and it goes ahead. And other ones, it does not go ahead at all. For example, in a closed account, the software vendor does not know that in a closed account, no entry should be made. They sometimes give a low level of error, and the person doing the processing has already in the hurry presses the key without thinking, and it goes. We have seen one ECS credit given to an account which was closed 2 years earlier. Now that is a big internal control problem, in my opinion. It is like wearing my slippers or my shoes and walking inside the temple without. That is what we call sacrilege. It should not be done at all. No closed account should be touched. It can be touched for this, it can be touched for something else, and therefore it's a big risk. Let me just share with you my personal experience where I was saved. We found out a place where such things were being done, and also some errors due to heavy data in the database. Things were going wrong. Therefore, I wrote in the report that the software should be changed or it requires heavy repairs because of the following reasons. And I conclude that because these errors are lack of internal control, the system is, just remember my words, the system is fraud prone. I wrote this, I left it, we didn't get appointed for 2-3 years, fine. Obviously, nobody is going to appoint me with these words. Then one day, a scandal of the bank hits the newspaper. It is there that fraud has taken place, etc. And then the system, the head of, not the head of, yeah, head of the department of the system, of that system, his brother phones me up and says, "Arey, my brother was picked up by the police and he's there in the police station since Friday. What do I do?" They even slapped him around and said that without your connivance, this error would not, the fraud could not take place. So I said, I'm in a different city. So what you do is contact a criminal lawyer and do it. So on Monday evening, he phones up and says, okay, he has been released. He was not arrested. He was just kept for questioning. Just imagine, they kept for questioning. And then on Wednesday, the same system head calls me up and says, boss has called you. I said, which boss? The bank boss? He said, no, inspector has called you. Now I'm in a fix. How do I tell that I've done only system audit and I'm not the statutory auditor? I have certified that the building is safe. I have certified the building is strong. I have certified it for a hotel. And what do I know that a terrorist has gone over there and made a bomb? I'm not responsible for the terrorist to come inside. You know, all these examples I was doing. And then I had forgotten what I had written. Then I went to the place, the bank, before going to the police station. I saw the report which I had written, and the police just sent a message that this was in interior Maharashtra. So the police sent a message that you translate this into Marathi, your own paragraph, so that we will give it in evidence that these people knew it was fraud prone. They wanted to make a fraud and they did not change the software. But for Wednesday to Friday, I did not sleep. And after this event was over, all of you have done your SSC. You know what you felt when the last paper you gave and came out. It was a very hot day also. But the relief that you felt, I felt again on the same day. And I felt sorry that other people can't feel it again. But you should not go through this. So remember that do not mince your words. Do not give a separate letter, but make sure it is officially reported. And I have given very specifically the reasons why I made this statement, and therefore it is ironclad. I am protected. Otherwise, I would have been suspended. I'm telling you. At least for a year or two, I would be suspended. And that is one thing I don't want to go have in my career before I die. All of us, we don't want it. Then was the interest master changed as indicated in the circular of HO? Today, the data center does it. We don't do it if they put their hands up. But in case an interest is changed, when you have to test checking the interest, check up this date also, whether the date was applied. Then is the ATM cash tallied daily or who is doing it? If the ATM is attached to the branch, then only. If ATM cash is not sitting in the trial balance of the bank, of the branch where you're doing the audit, in some cooperative banks, it is sitting over there. Then it's okay. Don't look at it. But if it is, then who is, you have to do it daily. What happens is there are errors in the machine itself also. There are gears that pick up the notes. While picking up the notes, if the gear is cracked, it may pick up two notes together. We have sat in the manager's cabin one day when a letter arrives from a customer with a 500 rupee note stapled to that letter, and he's saying, I got this 500 rupee note extra. The moment that was done, they shut off the ATM, called the mechanic. The mechanic came and I asked him, you show me what happened. The gear, the gears have teeth. The one tooth was missing. These are nylon gears. They require maintenance, but they don't do preventive maintenance. They do this kind of maintenance. Until then, it is lost. So to prevent such losses also, do the cash daily check. That is what the staff should do. Otherwise, they have no control. Mention over there. ATM cash tallying is very easy. You have to ask the ATM what is the balance and you have to take that cash and put it in a cash counting machine and check it up. What labor are we talking about? Nothing. So they have to do this daily. When I mentioned it to a branch, you have to do this daily. Then a very senior accountant asked me, allowance मिलेगा क्या इसके लिए? So I said, allowance मिले या ना मिले, तुम्हारी नौकरी मैं assure कर रहा हूँ यार, you're not suspended. Where are we? Newly opened accounts, just scan them for high value. Very simple. There is a cash book report which comes out on various parameters. So you say, I ask for it that show me cash deposits and withdrawal above 50,000, above 80,000, depends upon the size of the type of the bank and the size of the branch. And it just gives me for that particular period. Now, in that period, I just identify which are the new accounts. Which are the new accounts you already know because you've taken a jotting. You have taken a jotting of this year and you know from which year, from which account number that this new account start. That you will come to know by gut feel only after some time, 1 or 2 days in the. So if these accounts appear, they may appear with a PAN number also or without a PAN number. If they are without a PAN number, then you have to check whether they appear in the anti-money laundering report or cash transaction report. Because in anti-money laundering report, AML report, there is a facility for the manager to say whitelist the transaction. He may say that this is a petrol pump which is depositing money, 5 lakh rupees per day. So it is his part and parcel of business. So it is to be whitelisted, not to appear in the AML. Don't report to the RBI. While doing this, they abuse it or they blindly do it. मेरा branch तो clean है, मेरे पास AML report में कुछ नहीं है. So I found out in one case that a person has given amount for buying saris from Surat in cash. I know it is Surat account because the name Surat was there in that name of the payee. So he said, no, he's buying a business. So that is why he has paid. I said, whatever it is not his regular business of buying and selling shops. So it has to, why is the banker taking the burden of cash transaction of a client? तो सब बंद करेगा. I said, it's up to you. तुझे बंद करने का है और client बंद करने का है. It all depends upon you. You have to follow the law. So AML, it may skip, but cash transaction report, it should report. Now in cash transaction report also, why I'm asking you to check is, then one branch was also boasting, we have a clean, forget AML, we don't even have cash transaction report. I said, क्या बात कर रहे? So I checked up the cash book and I found out these transactions are there. So I said, show me your cash transaction report. It was nil. So it went right up to the head office. I sat with the software vendor. The linking, where the software should look for the cash transaction report, that was not defined properly. If it is not defined properly, it came out with a zero answer, and therefore the report went as zero. So from a zero, which is that's what here is the point what I'm saying. Statutory reports are not correct. Just see one of each, whether they are correct, and fine. You are free. Then the check return register. You have to just, especially we see this in the April, 1st, 2nd, 3rd April, we see to ensure that the NPA software is not misled. Account is NPA. On 31st March, check is deposited in the CC account. From CC account, it's immediately transferred to the loan account. So that is serviced. CC is serviced. It was outstanding for 89 days. So 90th day it is serviced. Then loan account installment is also paid off. And on 2nd of April or 3rd of April, the check is returned. But as far as the NPA software goes, this account is normal. So we go backwards from the manipulation to find out whether the NPA reported is correct or not. Why go through each and every NPA account and then ensure that those which are not left out are also should also come in? We're going this way, the manipulation. And believe me, in this March, the manipulations are going to be horrendous, numerous. And you please let me know also what you find out, because the imagination of people is huge. And they think they are doing a duty. Oh, lockdown tha, they are bichare log honest hai. You know, all this emotion play will come in the mind of the banker, as well as the client will also do that. This emotional blackmail is also fantastic. Now here is a place where I'm making the statement that the accounts don't tally. I mentioned earlier that the trial balance does not tally. So here what happens is that they gave me a trial balance, and I looked at the filter. The filter said give only of accounts which are open and do not print accounts which have zero balances. Itna lamba chauda ho jayega. The number of pages will run into 18 pages instead of 8. That is the explanation given to me. I said, okay, I'll look at it from the soft angle. So I asked for a trial balance with closed accounts also. So those accounts came as balance. Now as far as this is the report of the closed accounts only, and if you see there is a credit balance of 3,119. Now if the trial balance given to me excluded the closed accounts, where is the 3,119? So if this was printed, the trial balance has not tallied. What is the double effect of this then? What is the second effect of this? This balance is sitting here due to some corruption. I am aware of it. Because they closed the account, not through the formality of closing the account, but सीधा उसको allow किया last balance withdraw करने के लिए, and then they closed the account. Flag. Something of that sort they did. So now we have this issue of the trial balance not tallying. So this is this confirmation. If you see, the account was closed on October 2006, and on 1st, this ECS creditors, I mentioned to you, ECS creditors come in. So here the control on the closed account, here the account is written as closed. This is a system field which is printed over there, not by not manually. So if an ECS can be done in an account which is closed, I can do anything in an account which is closed. This is the time I understand that the ECS system had just been introduced, ECS credits, ECS debits had come earlier. But this was an error. And we went right up to the software vendor, and then he appointed me later on for finding out what errors are there. I gave him a big list of errors which the software has, and he has been selling it to 80% of the cooperative banks in India. That is a problem. Here also, if you see, that was ECS. But here, if you see a cash is deposited in the account which is closed. I'll show you the next set. Next one, next slide will have the closed status of the account. Same account number. And this closed status is a date which is put in by the system. So while accepting cash also, if such things are there, then we are talking about an internal control which is absent. Now for channels of delivery, we are talking about one fraud of Cosmos Bank, which is publicized, so it is not nothing confidential. They have Infosys as their software. Here, this kind of error cannot be found by us unless there is reconciliation. As I mentioned to you earlier, reconciliation of Visa, reconciliation in a normal debit card cycle or a credit card cycle. Let us look what happens. Customer goes shopping, let's say petrol pump, swipes the card. The card of the petrol pump owner is linked to his own bank. It goes to the switch, which then switch says, okay, it comes to this bank. Bank says, okay, there is money to pay or something of that sort, and then it goes to that banker. He gets the money immediately, and at the end of the month or immediately, if it's a debit card, the account is debited. This is the normal cycle. So what happened in Cosmos was, the normal shopping was done. The switch asked the bank, but the information did not reach the bank because there was a thing called proxy server. Without the knowledge of the bank, thus the signals were taken away from the bank. That does not mean I'm showing a server. That does not mean a server is physically put over there. Signals were taken away from the bank, and the switch was answered yes for everything. Just yes. So the business owner gets paid, but the bank does not know who to collect the money from because the record has not reached the bank. Anybody can put a proxy server is not correct because a person who has technical knowledge and inside knowledge only can put. So this fraud, I would just look inside the staff. And in fact, I have mentioned to all the banks that you have a know your employee and filtering of employee formality. For the data center and technical people, you should have something extra because these are very sensitive people. Their controls in their hands is too much. Like in a pilot of a plane, he's got the lives of 300 to 600 people sitting with him. I don't mind if the attendant or the stewardess is drunk, but I mind if the pilot is drunk. So the strictness applied over there is higher. So also here it should be higher and continuously applied. What happens is the HR takes an interview, they're very good at psychology, etc. But maintenance is not done. They don't talk to them again at all until they leave. So it is a farewell interview only which takes place. So here it's obviously a disgruntled staff which has done this just to damage. If they do reconciliation on a daily basis, they can stop the problem on a daily basis. So your duty is just to ask reconciliation hota hai kya, show me audit evidence that it is being done and what is last done. You won't believe, after years, decades of these cards being there, I was the first person in every bank asking for this reconciliation. Koi pucha hi nahi. Just like, at the stock inspection, I'm the only guy asking for the QC, the quality control reports. I said, I will not understand. I don't drink beer or whiskey. If I go over there, I'm asking for quality control. वो पास कर रहा है क्या? They first think that अरे तेरे को देखने का है जरा पीने का है. नहीं, मैं पीता ही नहीं हूँ. I want to know whether तुम्हारा customer पिएगा कि नहीं. So if your customer is going to buy due to the quality control, so similarly over here reconciliation should be there. Inter-branch reconciliation is a different department today. So what is sitting over there? Your branch is affected or not? Ask her that. Some banks are very strict. If inter-branch reconciliation is sitting above 6 months, then they say the general manager in charge of that zone and the region will be asked to go home and then answer. They'll be suspended. GM. When the moment they have this kind of a rule, then only reconciliations go down. Lot of things get hidden in reconciliation. Lot of things get hidden in suspense account. You are aware, the moment you come from corporate side, there is no suspense in a corporate side. In here, there's a big ledger. And hota hai, and those kind of things are there. So, kya hota hai, you have to see. It's up to you. Just a recall of what the card has. An ID card manipulation. Now, in original ID card manipulation, if it is done, then nothing we can do about it. And if you look, this is my wife's card, and I am shown as the father. This is genuinely taken from the income tax. They make an error. So you can't, there's a limit to what you can extend the error. Garbage in, garbage out. Kya karega? Actually, through artificial intelligence, frauds can be detected. Your spending pattern can be recorded by the machine. And like, for example, I do only petrol and restaurant. If something online shopping comes in, alert should come in. Alert should be automatically communicated to me. Now, all these things are possible. Today, they are going. If a large amount comes in, yes, I'm spending only 5,000 per transaction. 50,000 transaction comes in, I get a phone call. But if I'm spending 50,000 and 5 lakh transaction comes in, then I get a phone call. These sort of things should come in. So it is actually very easy. As I told you, I don't want people to sit there and monitor thousands and thousands of customers. It's not possible. Now, normally I've taken away the slides where I'm asking for audience participation. Now I can't even hear, so I can't even ask for that. How do you verify cash? Now, most answers I get is the cashier has a notebook. He writes his closing cash over there. I verify physically the cash along with the denominations, 2000 so many notes, 500 so many notes, 10 so many notes, etc. and the coins. And I verify what he has written over there. And I say, yes. 10% of the people said, yes, this is what I do. But does that tally with the GL? So from the system, you have to take out the answer of what is the cash balance of that day and do it. So 90% of the people said this. So 10 people plus 90% of the people, this covered 100%. This is where I request you to do a check of 2 seconds extra, 2 seconds only. Ask for the dual control cash passbook. What is that? From the main cash safe. In the morning, cash is taken out with the accountant and the cashier, and they sign how much cash is taken out. They sign together. That passbook is kept in the safe. Let them take it out and show it to you. Look at the amount which is taken out. Then you compare, just scan of the same month, how much cash is paid by the cashier, how many people have come to withdraw. You will get answers like this. 20 lakhs is taken out, around 15 to 18 lakhs is paid, or 12 lakhs is paid. No worry. There has been a branch, large branch, a commercial branch, also we admit that 2 crores are taken out from the cash and 2 crores go back in. So at the end of the day, your cash tallies. But when I look at the average withdrawal, it is not even 20 lakhs. So why are you taking out 2 crores? Simple answer, I don't want to disturb the busy accountant to take out the cash again. So I said, you prove to me when your cash shortage was there, about 20 lakhs. It was not there at all. Here is the 2 second of comparison of the passbook of the dual control with the cashier's cash out payment comes into play. What happens here is he withdraws heavy amount of cash. At the beginning of the day, his friends and people he has contacted get cash from him. Isko 10,000 diya, isko 2 lakh diya, isko 5 lakh diya. They are given cash without any exchange of transaction slip. They do business for the day. End of the day, they come back and give back the cash. This is called market financing fraud. The money is given by the cashier as if he is the bank. And then he obviously does it for a high amount of interest per day. It's only when the person who is supposed to give the cash meets with an accident and does not come at the end of the day that he finds a cash shortage. Where we were doing concurrent audit, I found out that there was a main cashier and 2 other junior cashiers. The main cashier is shouting on the phone to somebody. He was speaking in Gujarati only, that you've taken away so much cash, you should know you got extra, give it back, this, that. How can a cashier give extra cash? That struck my mind. Asked the junior cashier lady, who middle-aged lady who was sitting for at the lunch. I made sure I went at that time only. And casual conversation, how are you, this, that. And how is this cash payment being done double? I said, I never in my life heard double or whatever it is extra. So she said, no, he's a hot-headed fellow. He blames us for it only. And uska to hamesha hi aisa rehta hai. Hamesha? Red flag started flying very much. This is what we found out, that this is what he was doing. He had his own business. So his own business was AC repair and all that stuff. So his staff used to come over there, take the cash, do the repairs, make the payment to the for the spare parts, collect the cash which is paid by their own clients, and finished. The business is done. End of the day, he comes and gives back. Only to remind the outside people he used to do this. We investigated and we found out, and then we told the head office, the audit office, that this requires investigation from you also. And they investigated after suspending him, and they terminated his services after first transferring to some other branch. So cash, this 2 seconds will save you tomorrow, because you are not there as a concurrent auditor. So you will not overhear in those days, possibly they'll suspend this kind of operations and you will not hear it at all. They will suspend it. But they are too overconfident. Frankly speaking, they will not suspend it. They're too overconfident. But this checkup of the dual passbook will help you. So here is another thing which I ask is, do you know what kind of a system of entry the banks follow? This is what I ask normally. Is it single entry, double entry, triple entry, or quadruple entry? Double entry was started at the time of the Napoleon. So since I cannot get reaction, so let's take a simple example of cash deposited. So debit, what comes in, cash book is debited, credit the giver, so my account gets credited, and a third entry goes into the savings of a general ledger, just 2000 is returned. So at the end of the day, this 2000 or in the saving account should match with the saving account balance over here. So when they say my GL is out, that means this does not match. The third voucher did not reach this person. That is most likely, or this person was on holiday and therefore nobody wrote the GL at all. In a software, is this required is my question. This was required as internal control earlier. In a software, is this required? Nobody will bell the cat, and therefore it still exists. If it still exists, then it should match. कोई देखता है क्या? All you require is GL total of saving with the savings jotting total. GL total of cash credit with the cash credit jotting total as of 31st March. This also is not seen, and where is a mismatch, this is not being reported, is the lament of the general manager of the bank itself. I said, first ask your people, then ask my auditors. No. He said, but my people have failed, so you are the backup. I said, I can't argue on that. But this aspect of a third entry is important to note. In my book of bank audit, this is in the first paragraph itself, because this is important. As I told you, accounts total with tallied with accounts which are closed. Some of the software have a direct report like this. The difference between the GL and the product. If you have a report like this, what answer will you have? What answer will you give at the time of the peer review or investigation? Report to ready है. नहीं है तुम्हारे system में. I have asked, please write it down. I have asked so and so person, and the person has replied no. Do you have a report that shows me that GL is tallied? I don't want you to assure me. In earlier days, believe me, we used to ask in the LFAR, fraud हुआ क्या this year? बोलते नहीं, fraud कैसे हो गया? Yesterday, no. Which is not the case. It should not be the case at all. Then there's another point which just struck me, which has got nothing to do with this, but reliance on the report of a concurrent auditor. Institute tells us that you can rely on a report of another chartered accountant. But then in front of us, we start finding errors. A large account was there, new account in the group was being sanctioned, and there was a statement at the time of the proposal that the other accounts of the group are in order. They were in order is what the manager claimed, but as on that date of the signing of the note, they were not in order at all. They were overdue. So if the concurrent auditor says no issues on this point at all, no qualification on this, nothing is pointed on this, I can't rely upon the report of the concurrent auditor. There was another very simple example given by somebody is that the cash retention money, the cash which the bank can keep and it at any point of time is mentioned due to the risk. They can keep 50 lakhs, 5 lakhs, etc. He says, okay, no issues on that. But actually, there were 200 days on which the branch had exceeded the retention value. That means the concurrent auditor is not looking at it. Normally, we should talk with the concurrent auditor, see what things he has not reported on paper, but he wants to communicate to us. Okay, he has to stay over there. Usko chai nahi milega kal, maybe. So if he has compromised, let us not compromise. Let him talk to me. And then in such cases where I found his fault, I'll have to warn him. If you continue like this, then you have a problem of your future. I can't rely upon your report. Now you are making my work harder. That's all. Third-party software of these departments are normal. What the bank says is that if I buy treasury or salary or foreign exchange or even ATM software, naturally it does not come through that same CBS supplier. Then you have to be very careful and just ask the question. How do you tally? As I mentioned, reconciliation. On a daily basis, what happens is, when things don't match, one person blames the other. They are normally linked by a TXT file. A TXT file is generated by this third-party software, and a process is run at the end of the day, and it is posted into the CBS. Simple. I asked a question for 5 years in a bank. What stops me from posting it twice? And if my staff is absent, what stops me from not posting it? Is there any control? Answer was no. No control at all. After 5 years, one of the guys who was technical, he had a very good brainwave. He put a control field in the TXT file, which changed at the time of the first posting, and it will not get posted twice. So I said, fine. Now, TXT file, it can be manipulated in between also. It's a TXT file. So those controls, in case of manipulation, again, a control batch control was kept by them. So these kind of answers you get, you'll be happy. Then in a foreign exchange, luckily or unluckily, as you heard in my introduction, I have outside the country experience, and therefore thoda to आधा तो or 1/4 तो exposure है. So I said that your foreign exchange transactions which you are doing, you purchased a third-party software. Instead of paying 2.5 lakhs, you paid 25,000. I'm not saying anything that is cheap is bad, but what are the currencies you are dealing with? So I said, okay, dollar and euro. So fine, let me see. So just while seeing, I found out that they dealt with yen also. Yen, is a very highly devalued currency, just like lira. When we went to Japan, at that time, the taxi meter started 2,500. Your vending machine items started 300. It's just like 300 rupees, Oh, what vending machine will give you for 300 rupees? So I said, now I'm curious, तुम्हारा TXT file में क्या होता है? मिल गया ना? What happens is TXT file have columns of data that goes in. So columns were kept for million or $1 billion. But yen runs into much higher. The moment that yen figure came in, it pushed out the column. It pushed out this column, it pushed out the rest of the column, and the system did not know how to read this line at all. If the system did not know how to read this line, the transaction is not in the CBS. Now, should I reply like the auditor of Nirav Modi's branch? वो CBS में नहीं गया इसलिए मैंने नहीं देखा. Maybe the auditor was very big. council member, etc. I don't know why. But I cannot say that. I should not say that. My simple answer to this is, how do you reconcile? तुम्हारा 127 transactions गया, 127 transactions का value match हो गया. You just show me that. They cannot show you. You have absence of internal control. Put your hands up. Disclaim. If you can see this, what I have seen, fantastic. That yen transaction client may be in hand in glove with the banker, uska paisa वापस आएगा ही नहीं. It may be a fraud also. I don't know. But you check up reconciliation. This third party, no, please check up the reconciliation, how you do. They should do. Please remember, you should not do. Posting delay in ATM, I mentioned to you. The same thing for ABB and credit transaction. I'm showing you the ATM delay in the next slide. This is the date of the transaction which is posted. And if you see the posting date, posted transaction, if you can read, is 30th December. And actually withdrawn is written in the narration as 27th of December. And since we are paying cash saving accounts on a daily basis, the bank is losing interest on a large scale. This is the ledger account from the application, and below I'm showing it from the ATM. This is the amount withdrawn on 25th of October. And below the whatever you see, this is from the ATM switch snapshot. I've just taken it and stuck it over here. That at this branch it is withdrawn. This account amount is with paisa, etc. Date is in inverse. So on 22nd this is withdrawn and 25th it is posted. And we found out that there is no as of date posting. So let us look at the calculation. 10,000 maximum per account. So assume delay of 2 days only. Saturday, Sunday hota hai. Per weekend, let's say 5,000 only are there. So at 4%, it comes to 10,959 per weekend. Increase the number of users, increase the number of users, and you have a higher figure which the bank is losing. When I reported it, what did the bank do for the next 2 years? Absolutely nothing. Not my concern. I have reported your main expenditure is going up unnecessarily. You are paying. The customer may not individually benefit much by 20 rupees or 30 rupees, but at a gross level, you are losing a lot. Absolutely. At a most conservative reason, this is actually, I have taken out from the report itself. Conservative estimate is 5,91,000, 6 lakh ka tumhara loss hai. This is another slide with the same thing. But ECS debit, again my case. ECS for a bank branch, you will not get it because it is done at the central level. So they debited my account for months together. I had work which put me outside Bombay for a long time. And it was 6 months, I'm paying somebody else's telephone bill. I came to know when my LIC premium got bounced. Here, let's not do it. We were as in the role of central auditor and one of the nationalized banks. Line of accounting was advances and provisions. The bank told us that we have migrated to a new software for provision. Now, migration sometimes, most of the time we feel is migration from manual to TBA or computerization, core banking directly, or from TBA to core banking. In a migration audit, what happens is, they say migration audit, but they just tally the trial balance and they say, ho gaya. They have never heard of compensating errors. They have never heard of other data which is critical. In one migration audit, we found out that all signatories from an old system to a new system, all signatories, whether it's cash credit, current account, or whatever it is, it was kept joint. Joint what? Even if there is a single user, it was kept joint. If there were 4 users, they were kept joined. If it was either or survivor, it was kept joined. In migration, then you have a problem. How will the clearing department, they don't remember faces, even at the branch level. अरे इसका joint नहीं है, इसका तो either or है. So they will stop. So migration audit should take care of all data, not just financial data. They stop at trial balance. Sadly, they look at the अरे हमारा saving का joining same आ गया. अरे compensating errors हो सकता है. तो थोड़ा तो migration audit होना चाहिए. So here, what happened is this was not a data migration, but a NPA system migration. In an NPA, what they used to do is just like a flag. Manually, they used to put a flag. Iska level 1 DB1 हो गया. This is now last year भी था NPA, so this is 2 now, etc. And now from old application, it has gone to a new application. New application is doing automatically. ऐसा बोला. So I checked up. In a normal case, it was doing correctly, but I noticed some errors also. So I said, "Arey, ye error kya hai?" After going to level 2, it became standard. Wrongly in the manual period, they put standard wrongly. But they could not delete the entry over there in that flag because for some control reason. So again, they made it level 2 or level 3, the correct level, on the same day, next day, before the end of the month, or before the end of the month when monthly provisions were being done. So they said there's no issue over there. Now here is where my programming knowledge came in. If this system is sitting for 5 years, if I'm going to automate this system, will I start from the beginning of the file to check up? It will take long because this is a pan-India bank. The data is enormous. NPA accounts are numerous. To save time, I'll say go to the bottom of the file. There is a technical word called GoBot. So go to the bottom of the file and check up when it is first standard and then do the calculation. So now in this case, what happens is where there are errors that they have accidentally made it standard, the system says, standard mila, barabar, it is standard here. So then level 1 second, level 2 second. What they should have seen is what is the last level? I cannot enter the head of the programmer to tell him now. If he was there, I would have said, each account just check up the level. कहाँ तक पहुंचा है? वहां से ही चालू करो ना, standard क्यों ढूंढ रहे हैं? And the worst part is, there were technical people sitting in front of me, and I told them, because of the error, you have a under provision for NPA. So they're looking in my face. They didn't say, "Oh, aisa hai kya?" This kind of reaction didn't come. They said, "Abhi to 3 साल होने वाला है October को. In October, everything will be normalized." I said, "You are right. October, everything will be normalized. So take my signature in October. Don't take it in March." मैंने देगा March का. Just imagine, they were so confident that nobody will find out. And the amount, let's see whether I've shown you. Yeah. In a golden year designed for the, let's. So here I want to show you. In the normal case, the first column, classification normal. So from bottom, it goes and sees which is standard, and it is done that. So in case, if you see in the error type 1, in 2009 it was D1, and December 2010 it went standard accidentally, and on the same day it is actually it is D2. So what will the system do? It will come here at standard and stop. The marker will stop here. The whole logic of the marker itself was wrong. It should have seen November 2012 or what January 2012, what is the last, and then stopped over there and seen. That's all. Why you went to standard? It is worse here. Error by 2 years. Whenever the error occurred, it is going to stop there. The impact, since you're all sitting down, nobody will fall down faint. The impact was such that 12,500 crores of under provision was done. At amount of 12,500 crores, I cannot push it under the carpet. Bank cannot push it under the carpet. It went right up to the RBI. RBI sat along with, they sit along 10 largest units of every industry. They sit for the statutory audit. This happened to be the 10 largest. The report was opened, and 2 statutory auditors before me were blacklisted for 2 years. So whenever I go to a place where there is a temple and all that, I say you go and pray that you don't have errors in your report, and you also pray that I don't come as statutory auditor in the year afterwards, or statutory auditor or system auditor afterwards, whatever it is. This was too deep. I would not, frankly speaking, blame the statutory auditors at all, just because I had exposure to programming that too. But I was cold. I was cold by their reaction. If their reaction was, "Arey baap re, aisa ho gaya kya?" Then I would have understood it's a genuine error. This could be even connived to ensure the provision is low. The bank may be window dressing. No individual is benefiting, but we should not fall into the trap. I have till 1, no? So here is where I try to wake up the people saying that, okay, March 12th, you attend a bank audit seminar, slept for just 5 minutes after lunch. Good, 18th, you got an appointment letter. You visited the branch, gave MR letters, and he refused to accept the MR letter saying, "Mera head office ne bola nahi hai," but you record that you have given. And information not forthcoming is a very good working note for you. Please note that, because in case anything is hidden in the information where you are not given, then you have a recourse to this. बोलते 1 अप्रैल के पहले मत आओ. अच्छा, डोंट लिविंग, मेरे को डेटा तो दे, दिसंबर का तो दे सकते हो. Then on March 31st, silver and investment, when we were doing articles, we were told that we have to go for silver verification. Earlier, in earlier days, maybe 200 years ago, they called it, the coins were in silver, therefore they called it silver. I actually went over there wagging my tail thinking, मेरे को silver देखने को मिलेगा, कुछ नहीं, coins था. Then audit is done, LFI takes more time. And in June 6th, fraud is unearthed, reported by the press, and your branch is among the 8 affected. So what will happen over here, apart from you losing sleep, is that you have to ensure that your working papers are correct. You have to ensure that whatever you have written is pointed out, and be ready for the answers. The public and the reporters do not understand the difference between statutory, concurrent, and other system audits at all. They think that auditor should know everything. A branch which has got 80 staff, you have to do in 4 days. A branch which has got 40 staff, you have to do in 1 day. Arey, is it possible? So in one meeting, one of the auditors got up, you have a meeting of the general manager with the statutory auditors, and they keep on stressing, you have to finish early, you have to finish early. So he said, you take a signature now only, we are all here. Hamna signature, abhi le lo. As it is, we are not going to see anything. And they threaten you also. मिलेगा नहीं, छोटा branch मिलेगा, rural branch मिलेगा. I lost a relationship with a bank of 14 years. But I said, my past, let it go. My future should not go. You are protecting a fraudster. I'm calling it a fraud. I got evidence that it is a fraud. I'm reporting it as fraud. So the AGM of the branch, I'll see how you get reappointed. I said, I don't want to get reappointed. If you want, my contract is for a year, and with such your kind of institution, if it is protecting fraudsters, I don't want to be associated with you. Your name is associated with the people you have, no? You won't believe it, when Harshad Mehta scam came out, all the banks were affected, and the person introducing me as a speaker said, Ari, I'm looking at the list of his banks as clients. At that time, I used to disclose. These are all affected by Harshad Mehta, scam. It's as if I'm responsible for it. So these people associate, Here, right? So even in the news, and then a moment of fraud hits, then even in the news and all that, this all comes. Are you hearing sound now?
No, sir.
Okay, then let it go. So here I'm explaining that it is dated June 6, 2022, the report, futuristic report. This is a kite flying fraud which is affected so many branches. Now, kite flying means that checks are purchased and they are repaid only by another check purchase. you kindly look at they call it bill purchase also, but bill purchase in technical terms means there is a bill and there is a challan and there is a transport, etc. This check purchase also falls under that accounting term of bill purchase. So look at the ratio of income of the branch. From interest should be the highest. We found that the bill purchase in commission is the highest, which is abnormal. Even if it is a market area branch, even if it has got a lot of traders, interest should be higher than bill purchased. So that alerted us into looking at the transactions. In a bill purchase, somewhere actual payment should be done. The account of bill purchase, the other accounts should also be there. His current account should be there, his crash credit account should be there. Then when he has got a working capital problem, he goes into bill purchase. Here we had third parties, no other account. Arey, what do you mean no other account? Where is the account, original account of the person before they came to you? Have you seen that certificate? Have you asked the banker? Nothing is on record. Why? Because the staff which came to this branch, 20 years they were sitting in the head office, doing some other work. The assistant also, branch manager was the same, assistant was also the same. Branch itself was new, no old circulars were there. As if even if the old circulars were there, they would not be read. और थोड़ा तो कॉमन सेंस होना चाहिए, सर्कुलर नहीं है तो. It became a CBI inquiry case. My report was one of the evidence which was there. Because my report coming in and the scam hitting was the same time. Instead of asking me, तुमने क्या किया? अरे बता तूने क्या किया? That it went the other way around. But that is how it should be. The scam should be discovered by you and not by third party. There's times where, as a fraud investigator, I'm told, अरे हमने fraud लिए, find out किया है. But this is the reaction of your neighbor. तूने जाके ये branch किया. My daughter's wedding is scheduled 2 months from now, and I have kept money over there. I'm allowed to withdraw only 10,000. Are you mad? उसका मंगलसूत्र भी 10,000 में नहीं मिलेगा. अभी तू दे मेरे को. That kind of so. But society looks at you that way. The attitude or triggers of fraud are seeking justice for self or colleague, or to teach the boss a lesson. In a credit card case, I can tell you the name. Earlier, only Diners was there as credit card. Then the Indian bank started, etc. So in those days, the controls, ये क्या है? ये technical computer का है, उधर रखो. Computer का है, उसके पास ही रखो. What is these? They were tapes earlier. What is these? These are tapes, backup tapes. Computer, उसके पास ही रखो. अरे what backup tapes are kept somewhere else? No, some other control. उसके पास ही रखो. So one day the staff went on strike. What they did was they locked up the computers or they erased from the computers. They took the files, the tapes home or whatever. They kept it hidden somewhere. Now you start. The Diners card could not recover money from anybody, but they had to honor the card itself payment to the suppliers. You won't believe it. There are certain restaurants in Bombay and even Indian Airlines stopped accepting their card because they were like, हमको पैसा नहीं मिल रहे. For 1 month they tolerated. After that they didn't tolerate at all. Then Diners said, we can't give you money. We don't know who to take it from. So they had to settle with the union. So this is a fraud kind of a case. You are not allowing your employer to earn money. Opportunity and weak points if they see in the system, or access to backend. Most of the programmers have the access to backend. So we as system auditors, we check up that the programmers have access only to some test servers. And opening balance authority should not be there. Opening balance authority is what I'm talking about here, and the access to the database. If you see on the left-hand side, there are a lot of controls. But a programmer with a super user rights has absolutely no control and he can do whatever he wants. So in one case, what happened was, there was here you can see, one case what happened was, this was in a TBA time, in an region where nobody would want normally to go. So he said this programmer was kept over there for maintenance, etc. But unfortunately, he had super user rights. It was a very small town, and in small towns, what happens? There are some houses who open their doors and some bhabis who cook nice home cooked food for the people. and I would like prefer to go there instead of restaurant also. So the person staying over there also used to go to such a house. So that lady was also doing direct marketing, and she used to withdraw her commission 2,200 each time. So he used to say, why are you coming to the branch? I'm going to the branch in the morning. I'm coming for lunch or breakfast. You give me the check. Evening when I come for dinner, I'll give you the money. So she said, very good. She's as it is, she's busy. She has to cook and do this and that and do direct marketing. So she used to write 2,200. He said, don't worry, just write the figure and sign. I'll write the rest. So she used to not take care. If you see, she does not take care to write next to that. So he used to write any figure here, prefix or even suffix. Now the problem is the account will not have this much amount. So what he used to do is he used to go 4 years earlier and change the amount of the opening balance. So when this check appeared at the cashier, he says, "अरे मैडम ने हमारे भाभी ने बोला है कि इतना पैसा निकालने का." So cashier used to look at the balance. He can't remember who is earning what, मेरा पगार कितना and all that. He can't do that. He used to just see the balance. It was a teller system or even accountant system. I mean, दिया है क्या? हाँ, टेलर सिस्टम. तो बैलेंस है तो पैसा दिया. Cashier took enough care कि मैं आपको दे रहा हूं तो you please sign. So the fraudster signed over here who has received the money. So I had proof. You see, even before the cell phone days, I used to carry a camera with me, a digital camera, because even if I see a voucher, tomorrow it will disappear. So here only instead of 2,000, 10,000 extra was taken out. So he used to give her 2,200. She's happy. Now the trial balance will not tally. किसको बुलाएगा? उसको ही बुलाएगा. उसको बुलाएगा तो he again does some घपला. He used to adjust against his account, his wife's account, इसका account, उसका account. Don't ask. So here amount shown in the statement is 1,400. Absolutely correct, because immediately he used to go and change. And actual amount withdrawn is 51,400. So over a small period, he got a benefit of 2,09,500. This came to light because he was also doing with fixed deposits. He used to withdraw fixed deposit before maturity and then switch them for those which have not been withdrawn at the time of the maturity. So when the person on maturity comes to withdraw, he gets his money. I'm happy at the time of maturity. The moment this went into core banking, he could not adjust this. And the depositors came with the receipt and saying, we have not withdrawn before maturity. So where the hell is my money gone? Therefore, he confessed. He confessed that he has taken away around 30 lakhs. So bank asked me as fraud investigator and as a writer of books, I think, that you can write a report better than we can. So you come. I said, आपको जब editor ही चाहिए तो please take an editor from a newspaper. I can't go and write what you are telling me. Stenographer को बोलो, मैं तुम्हारा grammar देखता हूँ. He said, no, what do you want to do? I said, I want to see. No, if I write something and sign something, I have to see. I went over there and found out amount went up to 80 lakhs. So I thought before the case is filed, before the FIR is filed, if I've frozen a figure at a higher value, they will shake my hand. I say, at least you saved our money. You would have asked for less amount. Maybe throw even rose petals on my head. Instead of that, he's doing like this. I said, अरे क्या हुआ? He said, no, I already told the director, no, 30 lakhs. अभी मैं 80 lakhs कैसा बोलूं? I said, मैं जाके बोलता हूँ. अरे क्या आदमी यार? I'm trying to save the bank a claim which is more realistic. Then I told him that after this guy comes from jail, just look at the dialogue. I said, I looked at the various modus operandi. Now, this one only I'm showing you. And normally, criminals have a single modus operandi. Even in whatever criminal films also which you see, a single modus operandi is what is attached to them. This fellow had 4. He was better than an average criminal. I said, ये जब जेल से बाहर निकलेगा ना, I want to hire him for fraud detection. He's looking at my face and laughing. He said, why are you laughing? I said, I'm telling you the real. मैं control करूँगा उसको. Don't worry. अरे वो अगर जेल में जाएगा तो ना, you know, the justice system confidence, that is what he had. So what is the philosophy to detect a fraud? Set a thief to catch a thief. One of my friends' relative was a 3-star inspector. I gave him a lift once from airport to his police station. Very senior. I was very junior in age also. So he asked me, "Arey, tu kya karta hai?" He did talk with everybody like as if they're talking to criminals. I told him, bank audit करता हूँ. अच्छा, बैंक से चोरी करने को आता है क्या? I said, अरे यार, I'm supposed to be a policeman यार, I have to ensure the चोरी नहीं होने का. तेरे को आता है क्या पूछा? I said, नहीं आता है. तू क्या पकड़ेगा? So I laughed at him at that point, and then when the computer-aided audit controls came in, I realized this is what you have to do. You have to see if I was supposed to hoodwink the system, what will I do? And then what are the controls over there? Are there such cases over there? So what is said years earlier, maybe 1 decade earlier, I realized later on that what he's saying is correct. So there is where I find a weakness. So as I said earlier, when I see the cashier with thappies of cash, which at the beginning of the day, but which are not recorded in the cash outflow, then I know there's a problem. So this is what I learned. Of course, Oscar Wilde, the playwright, says that policeman only is a critic. We are supposed to be watchdogs, but unfortunately, fraud detection, at least, which is very apparent, it falls into our area, as therefore we have to be bloodhounds at least for that. What happens is, if you look at a scene like this scene which is there, it's like looking at a voucher with a supporting. There is a voucher, there is a supporting, fine, everything is nice. So here, I would say that the lake is placid, very calm, kuch nahi ho raha hai wahan pe. But I have to look at it a little further. Then I see some puddles. Then I see something more. And then I see something more. What I'm seeing more is called audit trail. If I had stuck to a narrow viewpoint, then I would not have seen this trail at all. The cash I told you, even in an ordinary stock inspection, I look at the stock which is physically there but not entered in the books. बोलते हैं कि don't worry, drawing power के लिए calculated नहीं है. I went to one company, I saw steel rods, which were not related to the manufacture of the goods. So I asked them, ये क्यों है? He said, don't worry, आपके stock statement में नहीं है. So you are not financing this. So I said, ठीक है, I'm not financing this, but you have funded it, no? So I'm looking at you, आपके, like a patient. You have hurt your leg, but I'm taking your blood pressure also. I'm taking your temperature also. You didn't come in for flu. So I'm doing this because it's affecting your working capital. I'm asking you this question. ये क्यों लिया? बोले नहीं, हमारे पास तो शो ऑफ करने के लिए इंडियन नेवी का ऑर्डर आने वाला था. I said, very good. Indian Navy, we discussed what product it was. Then I asked, what is your policy of purchase? Policy of purchase क्या है? What basis you do that? Let me see. How much in advance? Stock out होता है क्या नहीं? अरे we went so deep. We were sitting in the factory area. 12 बज के खाने का बांधना पड़ गया. They had to go to a 5-star restaurant where I was staying and then open that restaurant and then we had dinner together. Branch manager is telling me, आपने stock audit report दिया कि management audit report दिया? Account became NPA 1 year later. Simple question. Anything a red flag raised in your mind, please go after it. That is the point. Although I'm not discussing, suppose we discuss stock audit here, but that is it. Red flag आ गया, कुछ तो अलग दिख रहा है, that kind. So this is what I recommend. This is a short form which I've only concocted. Find the red flags, review the red flag transaction, analyze them for abnormality, understanding shared with the management. Here is where I'll pause. Round figures means there is fraud, is one of the normal reactions of everybody. In bill purchase, we found out that there was a monthly bill purchase, actual bill purchase with challan, etc., of a person of 1 lakh rupees round figure with the same vendor. 1 lakh rupees round figure. The accountant himself also agreed with me कुछ तो गड़बड़ है यहाँ पे, राउंड फिगर है, फ्रॉड है. तो ऐसे ठीक है, मैनेजर को पूछ लेते ना, बैंक मैनेजर को. We went to the bank manager. The bank manager said, "You don't listen to me. You go over there. Look at the proposal. The proposal was that with the vendor, he had an agreement that let's say 12 lakh is to be supplied per annum or 13 lakhs per annum. So approximately 1 lakh per month he is to adjust in the bill purchase and the balance at the end of the month. So I told him, listen, bill purchase means exact value. 50,000 दिया और 1 लाख का बिल परचेज किया is also wrong. You may find that in the long run there is no fraud, but in the short run I find there is a transaction error over here. So at least a perspective I got over here that this is not a total fraud. This is not an accommodation bill. This is a bill transaction which is not accurate for convenience purpose of the borrower, but not accuracy purpose of the bank. So at least I could put it in perspective and not raise an alarm bell. Fire brigade nahi aana chahiye. That's all. Then document your findings, that is document it and statutorily report them. Then interest on fixed deposit which I mentioned, the MD said, अरे मेरे को अलग लेटर लिख के दो. अरे अलग लेटर लिख के दो means it goes to the drawer ना, उधर ही रहता है. And if an investigation comes in tomorrow, a peer review comes in tomorrow, मैं क्या बोलूँ? उसको दिया है, इसे मेरे को क्या दिया है? You can do that. I can also show a signed one. But what to do with that? I'm supposed to statutorily report them. I'm not alerting the right people. So I'm taking example, real examples actually. Advances are growing, consumer loan, but main income is due to bill purchase. I think this is what I mentioned earlier. So what is the facility of bill purchase? Is it ad hoc? All were ad hoc. What is the ratio of BP interest to total income? That was much higher. So then this is a red flag. Facility ad hoc, numerous checks are purchased, no ordinary cash or check deposit is done. Business account is elsewhere. Resident is near the branch, so अपने को account मिला, the manager is happy about it, and deposits may be of round figures. So this was the guideline fraud. Finance papers of the borrowers are not taken. Fate of the check deposit is not asked. Opinion of the main banker was not asked. Another situation. Cash limits are not exceeded. That is limit of the branch. They continue to be 50 lakhs. This is what I mentioned, the dual control, that kind of a fraud. Here, I would request you to ask even one more, which you will find absent in 100% of the branches. If you find present in your branch, please write to me and tell me you're wrong. Surprise cash verification by the branch manager during operation. Firstly, branch manager, accountant is supposed to check with the cashier at the end of the day. Managers are supposed to check every fortnight or at least once in a month. Does he do that? Please check up and see that the branch manager has checked up. He may put the initials at the end of the year. Arey Baba, auditor are. Let it be. That is his. But control hai kya na, this internal control, otherwise accountant and cashier, these are the only two people involved. So tomorrow you'll find that the cash safe is zero because these are the only two people involved. But the branch manager is also supposed to check. This you will find absent at the time of the operation. That is, between the operation, the accountant or the manager is supposed to check during the operations. That is during the service hours, not just at the end of the day. You will not find this at all. Here is where the cash market financing fraud can be found out. So how to find the evidence? How many times the branch manager done the cash verification? Has there been at least one occasion when mid-service surprise verification was done? Full year it was not done at all. Done. Right? No. Lack of control. Come back with some qualification and or MOC. That's what I asked you. Cashier or spouse known to have a business. This you can find out through grapevine. So there's a residual branch about 12 years, has some accounts which are dormant. When the computerization took place, they were migrated correctly with individual balances and marked that is flagged as dormant, which is the correct thing to be done. So is the dormant flag working at the high level or permitted to work at a low level? How will you find this out? Tell them to pass an entry without authorization. Can the entry be done at all? Tell the manager that I'm asking the cashier or a clerk to record a payment or a deposit into a dormant account and see whether it is stopped at that level. If it is not stopped at that level, then this error is at a low level, and therefore the dormant account withdrawals can take place. And then the voucher bundle have a total number of vouchers and signed without exception. Check randomly, pick a day of the past or recent past, and then see whether it is signed. What happens is the staff feels that in a dormant account, paisa hai, the account holder is not respecting money. So let me respect the money by withdrawing it for my sake, and then the money will be respected by expenditure. Outsider also can do that. In one case, what happened is a carpenter was called for various work, and there was one drawer next to the bed of the customer which was locked, could not be opened for years together. So जरा खोल के दे करके उसने बोला, खोल के दिया. In that was a checkbook. Whether it was signed or unsigned, I don't know. But then the carpenter decided not to show that, went to the branch and asked. I was in the branch later on, that's why I came to know this. And he went over there, अरे साहब ने भेजा है, ये account में balance है क्या? The person saw balance, बोल दिया उसको balance है. The fellow withdrew most of the balance, went away. So this was a third party, not an insider who has touched a dormant account. Now, firstly, a dormant account, उसको पकड़ना का. You have to catch him. Why? साहब को इधर बुलाओ. Why is the person not using the account? Has the person gone somewhere else? You transfer the account over there, or now we have got core banking. You can do banking over there. All these questions have to be asked to the dormant account holder. अच्छा, नौकरी बदल दिया है, gone to some other country, then you close this account. Why keep it? All these issues should be discussed by the branch manager. Why give a balance like this? Here I'm asking for evidence how to do it. Here, a very easy way. Identify accounts which are converted to live in your period. There is no ready report. So you demand a scroll, that is a jotting of the dormant flagged accounts last year's March and this year's March. As I said, you convert it into Excel and you identify those which are there in the last year file but not are absent in the this year file. There is a small little equation you can write in Excel, and then this will identify you those dormant accounts which have gone live. You check up on a random basis or on some sampling basis. You have to answer this, please note. When you do this, kindly print this out, because this is what you have done, work of checking out which accounts of dormant have gone live and then which accounts you have checked. You please say checked and found in order. Kindly write against that. There was a central council member whose peer review, there was a note. On the note, an account number was written and a circle was done by the same partner. After 2 years, when he is asked what that circle was and what happened to that account, you are not going to remember. So when you circle anything, please ensure that immediately everything is written. Otherwise, it will not pass the peer review. And we have a lot of issues, so much that by next year, the number of bank audits given to us will go down substantially. And that is what we fear, despite the peer review. So your working notes should speak for itself. This is something that fell into my lap long ago, where I was doing the articleship. That firm had a system audit of MTNL. MTNL has Bombay and Delhi. So we did the audit, etc. Everything got tied up, and files went into the firm. They were kept in the godown. After 2 years, I get a call saying that, where are the files? I said, I've given them to you. He said, don't worry. If they give them to me, we will have them. I said, why are you asking me after 2 years? He says, no, you see, the MTNL have taken funds from USA. So Securities Exchange has sent their auditors here, something like a peer review. Now he's telling me after 2 years. If I knew beforehand, I would have written the notes properly. Today I know bank audit is on a peer review. In fact, I do every work now as if I'm going to be reviewed later on. Even when I'm working as a trustee, why this loan is given, what is the control I've kept, I'm recording it. I'm not going to remember later on. So here it tells me that somebody is coming for review just like peer review. I said, okay, I'll cooperate, don't worry. The money you have given me, it was a hajam ho gaya hai. But I will cooperate. It's my duty as a professional to cooperate with you. I'll come when you just give me 1 or 2 days advance notice in case I've committed to somebody. That's all. But no contact from him at all. I said, my God, what happened? After 1 month, I call him. I said, you said they were coming in 1 week's time. What happened? No, there was no problem regarding yours. I said, what do you mean no problem? No, they don't allow the people inside the cabin. They get the working note file and they say working notes should speak for themselves. I was horrified. What do you mean working notes speaks for themselves? Mera handwriting is worse than a doctor's. I can't read myself. What he understood. Then I went, I said, how you understood? Let me find out. I went over there. I went to the office. I said, to Rakhle, please. I want to see the file. Luckily for me, we had printouts. In the printouts, I had mentioned what I checked in block letters. I circled it saying that this is illogical. So what are the controls and the what controls found out were mentioned over here and also in the main report. So risk was written over there and how the de-risking was done, that was also mentioned. My God, after the computers came, believe me, my handwriting has gone for a 6. I tried to write properly, but my first line comes okay. But all staff in the audit have to ensure that it is legible and the working notes should speak for themselves. So it starts with the audit program. Who should do what? Have you gone with the audit program? Have you planned properly? Is this a foreign exchange branch? The foreign exchange branch may, that counter is to be checked by whom? Does he have the knowledge? Why you have chosen the person? You don't have the person, you have a networking of another CA who is coming to do it. That's perfectly all around. I mean, I'm not expert in everything, so I do seek help of other people also. So that way, please, working notes are important. That will save you tomorrow. Here we have a large branch. There are certain branches which are designated diamond branch, gold branch, cotton branch, this branch as per the industry. So there is an account which is very clean. Now, very clean means textbook clean. When everything is absolutely textbook clean, होता है ना कि छोटा बच्चा भी उसको we give a bath and come out, उसके कान के पीछे बराबर किया कि नहीं, everything is not done properly. तो थोड़ा तो normal होना चाहिए, थोड़ा तो उसको cold होना चाहिए. So that was a red flag for me. So, we are supposed to see the 10 largest. The branch is supposed to give you a report. So I checked up, nothing was limit in the over limit register of this account was mentioned or overdue. But limit change report was demanded. Limit है ना, over limit है, तो limit भी है, किसका limit कब change किया? But the answers which I got was, large public company listed on stock exchange, we are honored to have this account. Limits of the account were changed instead of TOD. How many times? 60 times in a year. It just kept on going up. What is the discretionary power of the manager to do this? Beyond. So absolute abuse of the system was found out just because I asked for the limit change register. If I had not asked, account is in limit. It is normal. It is not even NPA, when in reality it is an NPA. The head office who has a discretionary power will say, "Tera baap ka paisa hai kya?" Who has the power to give? I have the power to give as a head office. You are supposed to monitor and report to me. He has a problem. You should have reported to me. I would have said we would give him ad hoc facility, not change the limit. Ad hoc facility, another account. Then we would have seen a problem. Hey, kya? Okay, we are somebody told me at least if you start late, at least end early and end on time so that the whole program does not go. We have talked a lot about the. Here there is one letter of credit which is devolved. That is, there was no money from the borrowers in the borrower's account. Well, inspecting outstanding letters of credit, you can find out, and it is unsupported by sanctioned borrowing facility is rare. Rare means then you put it under the category of fraud itself. So here what explanation was given, it was issued against 100% cash margin. This story you must hear. This was a branch outskirts of the city, which is termed as rural. You know, for rural posting, if I am an officer getting a promotion or a clerk getting a promotion to officer, I'm supposed to do some rural posting. Now, rural posting means away from family for 20 years. I'm with family. ये वो घर का खाना नहीं मिल रहा है. बच्चे तो एसएससी में एक है, तो I have to take studies वगैरह वगैरह. So there are some branches which are considered rural, but they are connected by train. वो आउट स्टेशन ट्रेन आता है, नहीं तो शटल आता है, ये आता है, वो आता है. So I get that kind of a branch with influence with the. But instead of 5:30, the shuttle is at 4:45. So everybody leaves except for the manager. So in this case, the manager and the peon were there. Everybody had gone away. Branch is still open. So one person knocks the door and comes in. The peon tells him, this is a scenario, just imagine the scenario. The peon tells him, nobody is in the branch, there's no service that we can give you. He said, no, I come to meet the manager. So he said, come tomorrow. He said, no, I want to meet him today. So he meets the manager. He says that, manager says, what is it that you want? He says, I don't want anything. I just want you to write a note that whatever I am importing, I will pay on time. The manager says, what you're doing is you're defining, you can note take my friend, दूसरा businessman है बाबा कि उसको पैसा दे, चाय वाले का पैसा तू दे. You know, that is not that kind of a thing. What you're defining is letter of credit. And this is a rural branch. Import and all that is not done here. So, ठीक है, मेरे को लगा तुमको you would be interested because I'm giving 100% cash margin. एक मिनट 100% cash margin, that means no risk to the bank. Cash margin means not actual cash, but funds are transferred from some other bank. We're not talking about bundles of cash coming in. So he started thinking that cash margin आ गया, that means deposit आ गया, I mean deposit target will be easy to achieve plus advance. कितना advance is कितना चाहिए? Means what is the figure we are talking about? He says 500 crores. The fellow just dropped out from his seat itself. 500 crores means 25 years of advances target of the branch is achieved, and 18 years of deposit target of the branch is achieved in one shot. So मेरे को तो न्यूयॉर्क का posting मिलेगा. The branch manager is thinking. So he calls up. He says, I have to take credit for this. अगर मेरे पास भी नए parking होगा तो भी. So he calls up the regional manager, and then they set an appointment next day morning. Regional manager meets them, wants the branch manager. LC will be issued. Your branch will be taking credit for it, but don't give the LC even 1 second before the deposit is received. Deposit is received, LC is paid, LC is given. After 3 months, no money. So इसका deposit amount जो है उठा के दे दिया. In the audience, I would wait for an answer. What is the loss? There is no loss because उसका ही पैसा था, दे दिया. The loss is the transaction is not an authorized one. When a person walks into your seats, so this is a point which I mentioned. This is the fodder scam case which is still going on. What was imported was thermocol, not fodder. When the auditor went over there, they didn't even go to the address. The branch has not even gone to the address given by the borrower. The address given was second floor of a building which was just a ground floor go down. It is not an NPA, it was fraud, totally. And what is this branch doing with import LC kind of a thing in his department? Please question that also. So let me summarize. CBS is there. I'll close now my presentation. CBS is there. Use the system against the system. Ask for a dump of data. Take jottings of various. Select the accounts based on that. Test check the interest, one per department. One only. That one only will help you. Penal interest or regular interest. And ask for reconciliation of third-party software or third-party relationship of the branch with the other. Some branches are so small, they have an account with State Bank of India in the local for their cash requirements. Uska bhi reconciliation mango na. So reconciliation and all using CBS for your advantage is the one which will help you. And make sure this year, please note that all the accounts are having a problem of the lockdown and low business, and they have not achieved targets. And a software vendor called me up and asked me, what are you people doing? Software vendor. Why? Because the bank had called him to say your error reports are giving me error. What error? They're showing me accounts which are NPA, which are actually not NPA. So what they had done was they gave the moratorium of the COVID moratorium they gave for 6 months, but they did not change the installment amount. They did not change the period. They themselves did not do the thing correctly. So system does not know. System says you are on target, but you are 6 months late, you are 3 months late, finish ho gaya. So tumne nahi kiya. He said that the auditors should see this. No, so please, even if the NPA reported is high, look at this point because it may be an artificial NPA also. And or how they have changed the COVID moratorium, that you please check. Instead of 6 months, they may have given 12 months or 8 months also. So that you please check the moratorium given is how much. And it all comes this year. So this year, I would not walk away with either a qualification or a MOC. They may want it. But if all of us give this, there was a town where auto rickshaws themselves raised the amount of fare, and the people in the town decided nobody is going to take the rickshaw today. If nobody is going to take the rickshaw, they were helpless because they depend on a daily basis. So all of us auditors ensure that qualification or MOC is there. There are no alternative. Kisko tum far-flung branch में भेजेगा? 500 peak auditors. अरे branch तो एक है. उधर कौन किसको भेजेगा? I don't mind. Nobody minds going. So जक मार के बोलते हैं ना, जक मार के they'll have to digest it. Anyway, thank you very much for your invitation. It was we had some technical issues, but I think you solved it better than I did. Okay. I end my presentation now. Thank you.
Members are requested to post their queries in chat box.
Check the notes now. Where are the notes?
I think there is no query in chat box. I request CA Manish Bhai Shah to give vote of thanks.
Hello everyone, very good afternoon. So, there is a lot to learn from NItant